Alright, now that the GTO is off scram, it's in good hands, the electrical issue's already been figured out, and they've already begun on the coilover relocation and the subframe connectors, along with starting to work out a new base mat for the new pulley setup. We'll get started on this. So one of the most annoying things about this car to me is that the only code that's thrown on this car is in fact a check engine light out code, which is extraordinarily irritating. So I'm going to be going through the process of updating the gauge cluster lighting. So I'll show you guys where you need to look at, what you need to remove, and what bulbs I'll be putting in the car. To pull out the cluster, you'll need a 1/4 inch ratchet or something of the sort and a 7mm socket. There will be 2 bolts up here and up here. Alright, those 2 bolts are out. Now we'll go ahead and remove the gauge cluster bezel. I would personally recommend having the steering wheel all the way down, so that way you can have more room to finagle it down and out. Alright, now the gauge cluster is out. Again, just 2 bolts, 7mm on the top. There will be 2 pop tabs, well 3 pop tabs, and 2 little alignment studs. So you got to be gentle, since a lot of this material is older and starting to turn brittle a little bit, but a nice firm gentle tug straight out towards you from the gauge cluster itself will be plenty to get that out. With the bezel out of the way, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 of these 7mm bolts. I would highly encourage using a small 1/4 inch extension to get to them. The top ones are going to be easier than they initially appear, purely because they're angled up into the dash, so you can get a nice clear angle out. I've also seen conflicting reports about people being able to get the actual gauge cluster itself out of the dash without needing to drop the lower trim. You could probably try this if you took all of the small silver Torx out of the actual gauge cluster face, the clear lens on it. But I'm going to just do this the easier way. As long as you're careful and you're delicate-handed, there'll be 1 7mm bolt here. Then there will be 3 or 4 along the lower portion of the dash, along with 1 just on the inside of the small cubby hole in the lighting control panel. At this point, you'll want to tug over here by the lighting control panel along with here. Don't forget to disconnect or remove the single bolt that's immediately on the passenger side of the transmission tunnel. And the cluster's out. So you'll notice there will be your 2 male side on the gauge cluster side, your 2 male pin connectors, all of your smaller indicator lights, so these will be turn signals. Well, 2 of these will be your turn signals. These are going to be all your diagnostic stuff, so low windshield washer fluid, low oil, check engine light. So I'm definitely going to be changing and replacing the check engine light with a standard halogen bulb. But while I'm doing this, I will be updating the rest of the gauge cluster, the actual back face lighting for all of the gauges, to a 5.5 or 6K white LED. But in the meantime, I'm going to go run over to a local company called It's a Wrap. They were actually the people who did the tinting on this car for me a couple years back, and they happen to be a Diode Dynamics distributor, so I'm going to go grab some bulbs from them, hit advance, grab a new check engine light bulb, ironically enough, and then we'll get everything reassembled and reinstalled and see how it looks. And if you're concerned or confused about which ones would be your turn signals if one of those bulbs is burned out, it's going to be one of these 2. This is what the bulb looks like pulled out. You'll also be able to tell, because if you look into the hole, you'll actually be able to see the overlay on the what we would consider the front of the gauge cluster, where we would normally look, and you'll be able to see the turn signal itself. In total, you should have 6 actual backlighting bulbs here, 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 and here. Alright, got the new bulbs. These are Diode Dynamics 194/921 bulbs, so they go right into the original socket. Thankfully, I was able to get these local to here. The other ones, all of the other warning indication lamps, they will be socket number 74 bulbs, and so I just got the new bulb installed into the factory socket. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this stuff buttoned back up real quick, and we'll get it back in the car and see what it looks like. Alright, new bulbs are in. I've already tried it out. Remember before I did not have a check engine light, and now my check engine light works, and the new lights. With the lid, they look kind of blue on the video, but they're a pretty nice white in person. So now we'll go ahead and get everything reassembled. Alright, everything is reassembled now. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like in the dark. Oh, that definitely looks much nicer. So, hopefully somebody finds this useful. I haven't really seen any good write-ups on it, but I will hopefully be doing a walkthrough later on about how to cure and remedy the dead odometer light, since this car with 83,000 and change, I think it's 83,600 and change, it's got a dead odometer light, and that's always infuriated me. It'll come on every once in a while, and it'll remind me about how often I don't drive this car, but that'll be done here in the near future. I'm also getting rid of this hideous head unit. I'm going back to a stock one with added Bluetooth into it for a nice OEM Plus feel. I also do need to convert the actual lighting over here for the switch, along with the rest of the interior as well. So, thanks for watching.